This rubbish started in New South Wales. The response started with Gladys Berejiklian. So I'm saying this to you, Premier Berejiklian, in your brazen, defiant, ego-driven, thoughtless, careless, indifferent, selfish, dogmatic, dictatorial, unbending, I'm always right approach. We cop this stuff every day at 11 a.m. As a prominent politician said to me yesterday, listening to the rasping dictates of Gladys Berejiklian is worse than scratching your fingernails against the blackboard. Well, Gladys Berejiklian and all your sycophantic cabinet colleagues who don't seem to understand the gravity of what you are delivering, let me remind you of the London Blitz in World War II. The year was 1940. The day was Friday, the 13th of September, a day that can send Friday the 13th shivers down everyone's spine. A 50 kg bomb fell on the grounds of Buckingham Palace. It didn't explode. It was later destroyed in a controlled explosion. On that morning, King George VI and Queen Elizabeth, the current Queen's mother, were drinking tea and heard a rumble and a crash. A German raider had dropped 5 high-explosive bombs on the palace. The Royal Chapel, the Inner Quadrangle, the Palace Gates and the Victoria Memorial were all hit. Gladys Berejiklian, the King and Queen of England, stayed on at Buckingham Palace. They believed that if the British people were suffering, they should share the suffering. Queen Elizabeth said, that's the current Queen's mother, are you listening, Gladys Berejiklian? She said, I'm glad we're being bombed. It makes me feel as if we can look the East End in the face. The King and the Queen were advised to flee the country. They steadfastly refused because they had to set an example of sharing in the crisis. The Queen defiantly said, quote, the children will not leave unless I do. I shall not leave unless their father does. And the King will not leave the country in any circumstances whatever, unquote. That defiance forged a sense of unity throughout the United Kingdom. And what's more, when food rationing was imposed, the King and the Queen insisted that the royal family suffer the same rationing as everybody else. It's called unifying leadership. Gladys Berejiklian, something about which you seem to know nothing. I know you don't like cabinet meetings and you don't conduct them because you won't tolerate disagreement, even in relation to the construction industry, because, as I've said, you know everything. You've never been wrong. You're selfish, you're dictatorial, and you're indifferent. Well, call a cabinet meeting and propose that all those politicians and bureaucrats who are barking instructions and imposing trauma and hardship on good people resolve to do what the King and Queen of England did, share the suffering. Cut your parliamentary salaries immediately to $600 a week, which is what you're asking people in these circumstances to live on. $600 a week. And if you can't do that, don't ever again suggest you're a leader or that you should be listened to. As I've been saying now for some time, and I'll say it again, Gladys Berejiklian, if you can't do that, you've forfeited the right to lead and the right to be believed. What do you think out there? Email me, alan@skynews.com.au, the text line 0414 000 848.